we are reading this book.
What's it called?
It's called Tyrannosaurus Drip.
Yeah, and it's
Mom,
by...
I'm choosing another story.
You want to choose another story? Can we read this one first and then we choose another one? We do another one when this is finished.
I read the story.
Today we're reading Tyrannosaurus Drip by Julia Donaldson and David Roberts. Tyrannosaurus Drip. And there's the
I could read that easily.
Can you? Alright, you read. It's your turn.
No, it's my turn.
Your turn? Okay, let's read. Tyrannosaurus Drip. Bravo.
I could read that easily.
Easily. Okay, here we are. Ready? In a swamp inside a river, where the land was thick with veg, lived a herd of duck-billed dinosaurs who roamed the water's edge.
Mommy, can I have the green dinosaur?
Yeah, let's see the green dinosaur. Where's the green dinosaur, Alma?
But that's not dinosaurs yet.
These are dinosaurs. These are called duck-billed dinosaurs. These are duck-billed dinosaurs.
No, I'll put them out when the real dinosaurs are.
Who are the real dinosaurs?
The orange one.
The Tyrannosaurus. All right, we've got to wait for them. And they hooted up with rivers, and they hooted up with...
dinosaur.
Yes. And they hooted up with reeds. And they hooted up with bellyfuls of juicy water weeds. Ah, here they are. Rawr. Now across the rushy river, on a hill the other side, lived a mean Tyrannosaurus with his grim and grisly bride. Who's the Tyrannosaurus?
Me!
You're a Tyrannosaurus.
Mummy, hers is not. Hers a Bronchiosaurus.
A Bronchiosaurus? Is that because he's got a really long neck?
Mine is like that one.
A Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Mommy, which one's the girl and which one's the boy?
Which one do you think?
That one's the girl and that one's a boy. That's a boy. I'm the girl one.
You're
That's
the
a girl one. That's a boy one.
And they shouted, up with war. And they shouted, up with bellyfuls of...
Duck-billed dinosaur.
Yeah. But the two Tyrannosauruses, so grisly, mean and grim, couldn't catch the duck-billed dinosaurs because they couldn't... Swim. And they muttered, down with wet.
Mommy.
And they muttered, what a shame that bridges aren't invented yet. Oh, is your dinosaur falling? What's happening? Here you go. There you go. Now a little Compsognathus, but for short, this is a Compsognathus, but for short we'll call her Comp, found a duckbill egg and stole it from a nest beside the swamp. And she swam with it and ran with it and murmured, clever me. And won't the baby Comps be thrilled with duckbill egg for...
Me.
Stomp.
Egg for me.
She dropped the egg in terror and went running for her life from the mean Tyrannosaurus and his grim and grisly wife. And the duckbill egg went rolling, and at last it came to rest in all unlikely places, the Tyrannosaurus nest. Now the mother T had great big jaws and great enormous legs, but her brain was rather little and she couldn't count her eggs.
1, 2, 3. I don't even have to
There
count
was,
them.
yeah. You know
Mommy,
how many eggs there are?
ones.
3 altogether. 2 blue ones with Tyrannosauruses in them and 1 orange one with...
Duck-billed dinosaur. Mommy, one with a bill dinosaur.
That's right. And she sang, hatch out my terrors.
That's a boy one.
Yes.
This is a girl one.
Yes. And she sang, hatch out my terrors with your scaly little tails and your spiky little tooties and your scary little nails. Yum, 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 yum. Yum, 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 yum. Out hatched babies 1 and 2, as perfect as could be. But Mother T was horrified by baby number 3. And she grumbled, he looks weedy. And she grumbled, he looks weak. And she grumbled, what long arms. And look, his mouth is like a
beak.
A beak. He just needs feeding up, said Dad, and gave the baby some meat. The first two gulped and guzzled, but the third refused to eat. And he
Then
said,
that one the boy one, this one the girl one.
and this one doesn't want to eat meat. He said, I'm really sorry. And he said, I simply can't. And he said, this meat looks horrible. I'd rather eat a plant. A plant? Yelled Mum in horror. And Dad said, get a grip. His sisters found a name for him, Tyrannosaurus Drip. And they shouted, up with hunting.
And they shouted, up with war. And they shouted, who's back?
Up with war. And they shouted, up with bellyfuls of
Duck-billed dinosaur.
poor Tyrannosaurus Drip tried hard to sing along. But the others yelled, you silly Drip, you've got the words all wrong. For he hooted, down with hunting, and he hooted, down with war, and he hooted,
down with belly buttons of duck-billed dinosaur.
Yes. Drip's sisters soon grew big enough to hunt with Dad and Mum. But they turned on Drip and told him, you're not fierce enough to come. And he cried, they've gone without me. And he cried, alakaday. And he cried, this doesn't feel like home. I'm going to run away. So he ran off to the river where he saw a lovely sight. A herd of duck-billed dinosaurs all hooting with delight. Yes, they hooted up with bellyfuls of juicy water weeds. And he stood there on the bank. A sudden urge took hold, and he jumped into the water and discovered he could swim. And the duckbills came to greet him by the rushy river's edge, and they hooted, nice to see you. And they hooted, have some veg. And Drip, who was delighted that they didn't run away, ate bellyfuls of water weeds and played with them all day.
What's this?
There's a dragonflies.
Yeah, this is a dragon.
Dragonflies, yes. And he's the comp dinosaur that took the egg to start with.
Mommy, that's another dragon.
Then he gazed into the river and he asked them, who, oh who, is that creature in the water? And they laughed and said, that's you. That night the lightning crackled and a storm blew down a tree and it fell across the river. And the T's cried out, yippee!
Why?
Because now they have a bridge. They have a bridge to get to the Tyrannosaurus Drips. And they shouted up with hunting. And they shouted up with war. And they shouted up with bellyfuls.
A duck-billed dinosaur.
Drip's sister stepped onto the bridge, but then began to frown. For there in front of them stood Drip, who yelled, look out! Look down! And they looked into the water, and they each let out a yelp. And one cried, water monsters! And the other cried, help! Their mother scolded nonsense, and she joined them on the tree. Then she looked into the water, exclaimed, good gracious me. The three of them stood trembling, and Dad said, get a grip. You're all of you as drippy as Tyrannosaurus Drip.
No, this is the boy one.
This is the boy one? I think this is the mum, and because now we're up to the dad. Because it says, he strode onto the bridge and scoffed, I bet there's nothing there. Then he looked into the water and he jumped into the air. And how the duckbills hooted when he landed with a crash. And the tree bridge broke. And 4 Tyrannosauruses went splash!
It's splashing all the time.
Yeah, they all fell, all 4 of them, splashed in the water. And spluttering and clinging to the branches of the tree, they went whooshing down a waterfall and all the way to sea. There's the duckbills waving. Bye, Tyrannosauruses.
Mommy, what are they going to do in the lake?
They're going out to sea. They're going to go end up in the ocean.
What are
This
they
is a-
going to do in the ocean?
They can't. They need to try and make it to the shore. They've got to hold on. They've tried and got to make it to the shoreline.
On the beach?
Yes. And the duckbills hooted happily. They hooted hip, hip, hip. Hooray for the heroic one and only Duckbill Drip. That's the end.